You can go ahead. I think it's Miss Gassman you were going to start. Are you able to? I saw your mic was not working earlier. Are you able to start? Oh, I think she may have gotten kicked out. All right. So one of the other first grade teachers, just go ahead and start in her place. Whoever is sharing the next slide can go ahead and start.
I can jump in, Amanda. Does that work?
That would be great. Go ahead.
Okay, I gotta find my name keeps moving, so I'm gonna try and turn my camera on. All right, hey everyone, I'm Miss Donald. Welcome, welcome to first grade GCA curriculum night. I'm gonna go over the first couple slides. So the first slide that we have is taking a look at the challenging state standards for ELA. So for our language arts and our writing, these are some of the things that we're focusing on. We're looking at nonfiction text features and parts of speech, like common and proper nouns and prepositions. Some practice things that you can do at home. You could practice describing words. If you're in the kitchen or you're around the house, start describing things with adjectives like sweet, salty, tall, hot, cold, etc. You can practice reading at home and using common and proper nouns. For guided reading, we're focusing on asking and answering questions about the text. So I know a lot of you have already heard learning coaches us focusing on who, what, when, where, why, and how. This is super important for that comprehension and understanding of the text. Some ways that you can practice at home are when you're reading books with students, stop and ask questions about the story. You can ask who's in the story, what's happening, when and where did this happen, the setting, and why did it happen and how. That really helps with their comprehension. So with phonics, we have students read at home every night. This will help them improve their reading fluency throughout the year. And it's great because this year we have our 3 ELA blocks, so we can really focus in on writing, guided reading, and phonics. Each block will focus on a specific Georgia standard. And small groups are going to be used daily in guided reading and weekly in writing and phonics. Teachers are going to be using high impact practices through live instruction. And these practices include higher order thinking questions, academic discussion, and evidence based writing, which we refer to as RACE.
It's like a game trying to catch my name. Okay, my name is Mrs. Miller. I wanted to go over some of the clever apps we use in ELA. Some big ones we have are MobyMax, that focuses a lot on specific types of things that we do in ELA, such as like sentences and adjectives and nouns, and it breaks down into a bunch of these little lessons that they do. Um, and they can either go in and do them, have them automatically assigned lessons, or teachers will assign lessons that way. It's a little finicky, but we're figuring it out. Learning A to Z is a big one. This is something that they can access outside of school if they want to have access to a lot more reading materials like books and passages. We use this also to conduct running records and progress monitor their reading levels and reading skills with comprehension and fluency. Sora is our new online library. I believe teachers and students will be able to use it as a library and check out any types of books that they would like. And teachers can do that as well. Brain Pop is a big one that we use to uh, get them engaged on learning about a specific type of topic. It could be science, language arts, it could be it can do all kinds of stuff. And vocabulary is a neat little like it's a lot like sorry, I'm having losing my train of thought. They sing different types of topics that could be about adjectives or making connections or anything that has to do with an ELA topic. And I believe handwriting heroes is something that we use in our Canvas modules and the daily work. Anytime that they have practice handwriting activities, I believe that is what it is for. Um, and we have Learn Zillion, but I'm not real familiar with that. Maybe somebody else can describe what that is because I don't have that in my Clever app. But these are all things that we utilize in class every single day. Um, some sometimes they do it with independent work. Sometimes we do it all together as a class. But those are just some of the apps we use most often. So, alrighty then.
Okay, and I will go over challenging state standards for math. One of the things we'll be doing is word problems, and specifically we'll be working on how many and how more. We'll do basic addition and subtraction with our word problems. We'll do high impact practicing, and what that basically means is teachers will use higher order thinking by using questioning stems. And these questions will bring about higher order thinking. We'll have academic discussion, and with our evidence-based writing, that's going to include the use of the RICE strategy. And the RICE strategy is a strategy that allows students to restate the question. I stands for illustrate or create a picture. C stands for calculate, and E stands for explain the answer. And teachers will also use vocabulary that's consistent with the Georgia Standards of Excellence. So we'll be teaching the students that. We'll use engaging and rigorous platforms. So a new platform we'll be using this year is Zern in our primary platform, and that'll be used this year, and students will be practicing in Zern each week. MobyMax is also a supplemental platform that teachers will use. Okay, and some things that you can practice at home with your student. Review action words for addition and subtraction. Use manipulatives around the house, and also fact fluency games. Okay, then I'll also go over some of our clever apps that we're going to be using for math. We have Education Galaxy, MobyMax, Vocabulary, and that's where there's a lot of catchy songs that go with the vocabulary with math. We have Learn Zillion, Zern, what I went over just a minute ago, and Brain Pop Jr.
So those are the clever apps that we will be using for math.
All right, hello again. We're going to take a look now at our challenging state standards for science. So in science, we really want to engage our first grade students in questioning and analyzing things that are around them, just to become very curious and to use their observation to really take a deeper look into the world that's around them. So we want to focus on analyzing scientific data. We're going to be taking a look at how we can identify how and why magnets attract or repel. We're going to be planning and carrying out simple investigations to understand patterns such as shadow, sound, and weather. And we're going to be making predictions based on those investigations. So we have a lot of fun activities coming in science. But some things that you can practice at home, you can use magnets at home to see what things are magnetic. You can also view shadows at different times throughout the day and, look at where's the sun in location to those shadows, and just really be paying attention to just the things that are around you in your day-to-day life.
All right. My name is Miss B, and I'm going to be covering some of the things that we're going to use for our science resources. So, one important thing and one thing I love is that Learning A to Z was also used in our ELA, our English Language Arts, but it's also useful in many other subjects. Students can choose to read books that are focused on different subject areas, and so it can capture their interests. Maybe Max as well is another good one. We can assign assignments for students to work on independently or as a class, and that allows them to work on those skills and practice those. Education Galaxy is a fun way to get students engaged in science and have a little competition going on, just enjoy their time learning about those different science topics. Vocabulary, I know my students really enjoy vocabulary, all the catchy songs that introduce those vocabulary words and different ideas and topics. For example, last week we did plants. And so my students really enjoyed the different vocabulary and brain pop videos that we watched about plants. Um, and again, brain pop is another um, engaging strategy that we can use in our classroom as well as outside the classroom. Students can access that and help them to grasp those concepts from classes. Discovery education, that is another tool that you can use in or out of the classroom to help students just further their exploration and their knowledge of different subjects. And then, of course, Sora, our library, is good to check out those books that are available for students based on those different topics. So those are all of our resources and clever apps that you can access for science this school year.
We're going to take a look now at our challenging state standards for social studies. Learning coaches, you're going to be familiar with this first one. We are looking at identifying and locating the student's city, county, state, and their nation, our country, as well as the continent on a simple map or a globe. We're looking at locating major topographical features on the Earth's surface, locating all of the continents, North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Antarctica, and Australia, and also locating the major oceans, which are the Arctic, Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Ocean. Next, we're going to be exploring the concept of patriotism through the words in the songs like America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and America the Beautiful. For example, taking a look at these words such as brotherhood, liberty, freedom, and pride. In social studies, we're also going to be describing how people are both producers and consumers. And there are some practice activities that you can do at home with your first grader. There's a continents game and an ocean games, which we can send out to you. You can sing patriotic songs, and you can also discuss items that are made or purchased.
Oh, there. Hey guys, Miss Owens. And I'm really going to be kind of reiterating what everyone else has already said about our wonderful, useful resources that we have in our pocket basically. We have all these fantastic resources right in our clever dashboard, and most of these we are using in all of our subjects pretty much. So a lot of these we've already kind of covered. We've talked about Moby Max, and Moby Max, we can use it for any subject area. We can go in and assign lessons, and also the students can work in there independently. Sora is our online library. Also, one that's not on here that I know a lot of first grade teachers use is Epic. And Epic is a fantastic resource as well, where you can check out and, or not necessarily check out books, but you can look at books, and there's lots of really interesting books for social studies as well. Brain Pop Junior and Flowcabulary, you guys know if you're in my class, we're using those regularly every day. And also, I go in and we assign those lessons so that you can review them and take the quizzes for extra practice. We also use Learning A to Z, and like our other teachers have been saying, you can go in and search for specific books in different areas. Also, the books are kind of catered to your students' needs based on their personalized level, their reading level. So that's the great thing about Learning A to Z. Gallopade is our wonderful social studies textbook, essentially. And I know this week some of our learning coaches and students may have been experiencing a little bit of issues with Gallopade. We all been kind of working through those together. It is a learning process for us all. So, but I think once we kind of work out the kinks in Gallopade, it's going to be a fantastic resource for us to use in our not only daily instruction but just kind of independent work as well to kind of um, review those standards that we're focusing on in social studies.
Hi, I'm Ms. Riles. I'm the art teacher, and I'll be talking about our art and PE standards tonight. Um, I am so excited to be with y'all. This is my first year, and I have enjoyed meeting so many of our students. First of all, I'll talk about art. Um, One of the main standards we cover says to engage in the creative process to generate and visualize ideas by using subject matter and symbols to communicate meaning. One way you can practice this at home is to use your imagination and explore art by drawing what you imagine. Bring a sketchbook or notepad with you when you're in the car and draw some of your fabulous ideas. Understand and apply media techniques and processes of two-dimensional art. Create drawings and paintings with a variety of media, and try drawing with crayons, markers, color pencils, or even sidewalk chalk. Try painting with watercolor, tempera, acrylic paint, or simply with water and a brush outside on the sidewalk or on bricks. And notice how different mediums make different marks. Next, demonstrate an understanding of the safe and appropriate use of materials, tools, and equipment for a variety of artistic processes. You can make a folder to store all your artwork and have a designated art workspace at home where you know it's okay to make art and have fun while taking care of your supplies. And then for the first grade PE standards, you demonstrate knowledge and skills to help achieve and maintain a health enhancing level of physical activity and fitness. Demonstrate the ability to use decision making skills to enhance health, practice at home, and stay active and make good food choices.
All right. Hey guys, it's Miss Williams. So I am going to go over our state and the Georgia Cyber Academy assessment. The first assessment we're going to talk about is our interim assessment or the IAs, which we've probably been hearing about this past week. Our first IA is in 2 weeks. It starts on September 13th and ends on the 17th. And the IAs are going to focus on a gradual release, or what we're going to focus on to help us with our IAs over time is a gradual release of responsibility to read the test independently. And we'll discuss that a little bit more on the next slide. The second assessment is our MAP growth assessments for reading and math, and our MAP reading fluency assessment. So we take those assessments 3 times a year. One time in August, which we just did a couple weeks ago. We'll take it again in December, and then again in May. So the number of assessments that we take here are very similar to what is taken in brick and mortar schools. So our IAs are a lot like the unit tests that students will complete. So once we're finished with a unit here at GCA, we will do an IA assessment. And these assessments help us to plan for small groups and differentiated instruction. And these groups are fluid, and we use the data from these assessments as well as assessments completed in class and modules to edit our groups as needed. Here is our IA gradual release of responsibility. Um, so our first IA is going to be in 2 weeks from September 13th to the 17th. Our second is October 25th to the 29th. Our midterm is December 6th to the 10th. The IA4 is February 14th to 18th. IA5, March 21st to the 25th. And our final is May 9th through the 13th. So in total, we will have 6 almost like unit tests over the course of the school year. To support our students in the process of building a strong foundation in reading, they will be gradually reading more and more of the test independently each time we take the IA. So this chart details the expectations of the students with each exam. So for each subject, math, ELA, science, and social studies, for our first IA in math, the full test is read aloud. For the second in October, the first half of the test is read aloud, the higher difficulty questions, and the second half is read independently. So our lower difficulty questions are the students are expected to read on their own. And from the midterm to our final, so December to May, the entire test will be read independently by each student. And for ELA, again, the first test is read aloud to the student. For IA2, the longer passages and questions are read to the students, and the shorter passages and questions they are expected to read independently. And our next 4 IAs, they are expected to read independently. They're expected to read the entire test independently. And the same follows for science and social studies. The parts of the test that are read to them are done by the platform, which is called Illuminate, and learning coaches will not be reading anything to their students. So when the time comes for the students to be read to, we have to make sure that the platform is reading to them and not any learning coaches.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Shepherd, filling in for Mrs. Harrison. So the interim assessment week schedule is as follows. Monday through Thursday, the students will have homeroom from 8 to 8:20. IA testing, students will log out when they are finished. So that will be from 8:25 to 11 a.m. Lunch from 11:55 to 12:55. Live class in the afternoons at 12:55 to 1:40, and again at 1:50 to 2:35. And for Friday, it will be a normal class schedule. So your classes and class times are on your Canvas calendar. Students will not be testing the entire block from 8:25 to 11 or 11:55. We've just set aside that amount of time to allow everyone the time they need and not feel rushed. So the test will be in the morning. They'll take a break and have lunch, and then they will have live classes in the afternoon on Jigsaw.
Hi again. So basically, this is how you can monitor your students' progress. Work from their Canvas module. Their assignments are listed by day. Some may not be on the calendar, so use the modules. The modules will typically look like, I don't have the access to the pen. The modules will typically look like this on the right. It'll have the date for the whole entire week, and it will list the day of the week basically by the number and a dot and the other number for the day, month, and the day. There will be a link for daily work, which will consist of a list of everything that needs to be completed for that day. There is also a link to their LVS, which is their like digital textbook, um, with passages in it. Sometimes they will read the whole passage set. Sometimes they will be assigned specific numbers of pages. That will be included into the daily work. Sometimes it'll say 6 to 9 pages only. So that would be a good good place to start. And graded coursework will typically look like the little rocket ship next door, and it will always say graded inside of the link. Um, Anything that needs to be turned in or submitted will always have the word graded on that links. And it may be coursework, it could be reinforcement work, just whatever category it would fit into when it comes to grading that particular assignment. So, graded work, of course, is required every single week. There should be something, at least one, or if not one, something every day. Um, the daily work, there will be some material inside of the daily work that is highly encouraged that the student will do, especially if there's pages that they would need to like print out, like such as the handwriting tasks. That is not something they need to submit into Canvas or submit to their teachers. That is just something that is highly encouraged that they practice at home. Um, Even though we are a digital school, handwriting is still very important. So we strongly encourage that. As I said, the FLVLS lessons are in daily work. Um, they're not, it's okay if your student is unable to complete every page of lesson each day. They will have the entire week, and they are also given time in class as well as time outside of class to have those things completed. It's just basically a guide. So whenever you have the time, or when they have the time, and we'll be able to get to that. So, materials for the class that are encouraged is either a whiteboard, a journal, or paper, just something that they can do that's not always not, it's not completely digital, something that they can have tangible in front of them instead of using typing or the programs that we use. Nearpod is definitely a big one that we use a lot. But sometimes we do like to encourage them to write with, using their hands and pencils or markers or drawing a picture. So it's nice for them to have access to something to write with and write on in class. A good thing to also remember is if you are their learning coach, anytime they're doing independent activities, they can receive assistance by you. Um, and that can also help you under progress, monitor their progress. Oh, goodness. Okay. I believe that's the end of our slideshow. I guess it's time to start the Q&A. I don't know who's going to lead that, but I'm going to turn my microphone off.
All right, so we thank you guys. That was our presentation, and yes, we will have some time for Q&A right now. And I'm going to turn the slide back. There's a link to a survey that you can click on just to let us know that you were here. So we would appreciate you doing that so we can kind of capture your attendance and know who all was here for our presentations tonight. So what we're going to do for our Q&A, I want you to, we're going to have some teachers help me with the mics, and then there will also be some teachers answering questions in the chat as well. So what we're going to do, if you look in the bottom left corner here in Jigsaw, you see a little picture of a smiley face. If you click on that smiley face, those are your feedback tools. So there's a little raised hand that you can press. So if you do have a question, you can press that raised hand icon, and that will let us know that you would like your mic and that you would like to ask a question. So I've asked Miss Owens to help me. So help me call on people and open mics as it's your turn. So we will do that. We will also, I've hidden my chat. We will open the chat for just a second. Let me find my chat. And one of the teachers may have to help me find the chat down there at the bottom. Mine's just scrolling. But we will open our chat for a little bit. And then if there's too many questions in there, we'll close it for a minute so teachers can get to all those questions and then open it back up after that. All right. So I do see some hands raised. So Miss Owens, if you would just start by enabling mics one at a time, and then I will answer your question or pass you to one of your teachers if it's a more specific question to them. All right, so I think it's, let's see, is it Anjali? You have your mic?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So my first grader is starting on 30th of August. So he's starting next Monday. But I have a question about the COGAT test. COGAT testing, it's like a standardized test that normal Georgia public schools, brick and mortar schools do for first grade.
Right.
So they are having it next week in their brick and mortar school. But I was wondering if GCA would administer such kind of COGAT testing in GCA.
Oh, cool. So, well, first of all, we're happy to have you. We use COGAT testing for our gifted program to test students who have been referred as possibly gifted. So that's how we use that here. We do not give it as a standardized test to all first graders. So that's the only way we use it is for gifted testing. So if your student was to be referred, if you referred them or the teacher referred them for gifted testing, they would take it then. But that's not something that we give to all of our students. All of our students do the MAP testing, and then we have our interim assessments that we do that everybody completes. But we do not give COGAT to everyone.
So, will that be a issue when he goes back? If I decide to for him to go back, like after 6 months, if I decide to go back to brick and mortar and he had not taken COGAT, actually he was referred for gifted testing in kindergarten. So
Hmm.
I'm presuming that he might be eligible for this year too. So if he doesn't take COGAT here and if he goes to brick and mortar, will that be a issue without taking a COGAT? I mean,
Yeah, I understand. You would have to talk to your specific school system. So COGAT is not a state mandated test. It's not given in every county and to every student. That's a school system decision. So you would need to talk to your neighborhood school, your home school, and about that because that's not a state mandated test. So that's not something that has to be given to everyone. So
okay.
so that would be a question for them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, let's see. Is it Mariah?
Hi, yes, Mariah was correct.
Great.
First of all, super excited. This was our first time doing GCA, and my daughter did remote in Kansas through the school during COVID and loved it so much that we decided to find a school that she could do online.
Awesome. Well, we are happy to have you.
Thank you, thank you. I do have a lot of questions because we're new. So
Uh-huh.
I wrote a list, and hopefully I can just go through them pretty quickly.
Okay.
First question would be, can we get a copy of the slides, or is there a way for us to access them so I can go back and review them?
Yes, and the recordings will be accessible too on the parent calendar. So,
Okay,
and let me get that link. I can put that link in the chat to the parent calendar. Hold on just a second. Let me find it in all my
perfect.
stuff. But yes, you can access it from there.
Okay, and then let me see. Individual class supplies. I did see on the website that there was a small list for first grade, but then as I continued to explore the website, there was like these long lists for each individual class. I just
Uh-huh.
stuck with the list of the small stuff. I assumed that as we go along in each class, they'll kind of let us know, hey, we're going to need this semester or so on and so forth, right?
Yes, ma'am. And with us being a virtual school, most of our supplies per se are virtual. You know, we do a lot with our platforms. So I do know, and I remember when I was a first grade teacher in the classroom here at GCA, I used the journals a lot. So like notebooks and pencils were my main supplies. So yes, you can talk to
Right.
your teacher, but that should be fine what you got off the main list.
Okay, and then as for the IAs, which I assume I can ask Mrs. Donald, her teacher, should we just turn on the test and essentially leave the area and then just stay close enough in case they need help?
Yes, ma'am. I think that would actually be a great thing. The test usually the platform we use called Illuminate. It's pretty user friendly. So and usually pretty easy to log into. So once they're in, and there are times when the computer freezes or things like that. But the teacher's usually able to get them back going again. So yes, if you just want to get them logged in, and then like you said, just walk away and kind of check on them every now and then to see
Okay.
how they're doing, that would be good.
Okay, and then my last question is, I heard you talking to the last parent about being referred as possibly gifted, and then also in the beginning of the slides talking about the extra classes like Spanish and everything like that.
Mhm.
We were never given the option to do the extra classes, and so I was wondering if those would be an option, and then if she is considered gifted because she's never actually been to a brick and mortar school, so her kindergarten year, we did homeschool. If she was considered gifted, would that be something the teacher would notice, or is that something that I need to say, hey, can you kind of look further into this for us?
Yeah, and I think with with everybody being new and your teachers just getting to know your students, that is definitely something that they may start to notice. But you, as a parent, can also refer when the time comes, that window is not open yet. They'll be testing one time this year. I think it's going to open a little bit later in the fall. So you could also refer as a parent to if you think that your child could qualify for that, you could refer them as a parent. So
Okay.
and then let's see the other question. What was the other gifted and
The extra classes like
oh, the
Spanish
extra
and
classes. Yeah, so we can't, that enrollment has closed for, it was in the Strong Start module. You had to sign up for it when you were completing that Strong Start module when you first were enrolling. So
okay.
that has been closed now.
And is that for the whole year or just
It's
a
for the whole
semester?
year. Yes, ma'am. So you would
Oh,
have the opportunity to enroll again for next year, but that is closed for now.
okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, let's see. Is it Bandana, I think?
Hi, yes, it is
Hi.
Vandana. Yeah, I have like a question regarding, I think already covered a few questions I still have.
Uh-huh.
So for the elective courses, I signed up for both my kids for the writing fun and the computer skill,
Uh-huh.
but they haven't been assigned to those classes because of I think I re-registered, so that's why. But I when I first registered them, I opted for the electives, but they haven't been assigned to these classes.
Okay, and did you say you had to re-register? Is that what you said?
Yes, I have to. So they were in GCA in kindergarten. So
Mhm.
I registered them in May, but then decided to go to brick mortar, and then I have to re-register. But when I registered them that time, I had opt for electives. But when I re-registered, I didn't have the option to for the electives,
Right.
and I don't have to fill actually the full application because they said they can reinstate the same application.
Mhm.
So, but I didn't get the elective classes for them. So, I'm not sure what can we do anything about it or.
If you could, I don't know if what the process is since you enrolled and then
Mm-hmm.
had enrolled them somewhere else and then are having to
Right.
re-enroll, especially since you said that you don't have to fill out the full application. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they're looking at what your first application had in it for
Mm-hmm.
those electives. So if you could tell you what, if you could send your teacher an email and they
Mm-hmm.
can forward it to me and I can check with Susan Rudd. She's our assistant principal for scheduling for operations and things like that. So I can check with her and see about that because I'm not quite sure how that process would work with you being the
Right.
re-enrollment. So yeah, if you just send your teacher a message and they can forward that to me and I can check on that for you.
Okay. And the other question I had is
Sorry, that's a
again
dog.
for the kindergarten, they were selected for gifted and advanced.
Hmm.
But because of because when I called the county that I live in, they said this test will not be validated in the school system.
Hmm.
So we did not opt for that course at that time in the kindergarten. So now I think the test will be in January. I believe I attended one of the webinar of GCA.
Okay.
So, but when we do the test in January, so it's almost like half the school is already gone. So then the advanced reading, I mean advanced classes or anything like that will start in the next year, right?
Correct. Yes. If they were to test into that, that would start then.
Yeah. So for like for this year, they will not be in any kind of advanced class because
Well, advanced and gifted are two separate things. So we
right.
have advanced classes that students can qualify for, but that's different from the gifted program. So if your student's already in an advanced class, you would have gotten that email, and that's they're already in that class. The email was letting you know that that's just the designation of that class. It is considered an advanced class. The gifted program is something totally separate. That's what they are testing for, and that's what
Okay.
they would start the following year.
So how do we know that the advanced class, is there any test for that or
So we look at individual student data. We look at like the test that you guys took when you were enrolling. We look at
mhm.
any data we have on them, and students are kind of grouped accordingly. So if their data shows that, then they were put in that advanced class.
Okay, yeah, because last year they were recommended for that. And I
Mhm.
think this year's map test also like cut to the mark, but I'm not sure exactly what mark, you know. So I was just
Right.
trying to understand, do I need to contact someone, or it will be like teachers will look into the whole data like last year and this year, and they will put into the advanced classes?
So you would have already been notified if you were in
Okay.
advance in the advanced class. Yeah, because that's not something there wasn't a specific test and that was set from the beginning. So that's not
Okay.
something that we will be moving students into. So those have already been set, and if your class is an advanced class, then you would have already been notified.
Okay. The other thing is, so there are like lot of resource for software in Clever.
Hmm.
Though I think we don't have some of the software in the Clever. So is this something we can ask for, or it's teacher decide like which class has?
So the district apps, there's some apps that are only for certain grade levels, but they may all show in that district app section. So if there's an app that you cannot access, then that
Hmm.
probably means that it is not for your grade level. But
Okay. Yeah.
and
I
that's set by the district.
Okay, yeah, I saw some of the apps in this presentation
Hmm.
that I would like to see, but it's not in the, you know, grade one Clever.
Okay, yeah, and as your teacher started to use those, then they might be there, and then there's some that are like content specific, so
Hmm.
they may not be for every content. So that may be why you don't see them.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Mhm. You're welcome. Camille? I've just put the link in the chat for to the parent calendar that will have the link that will have the recording to this as well as slides. Let's see, Camille, you have the mic. Are you still here? Do you still have a question?
Can you hear me now?
Hey, yes, I can.
I'm sorry, I've been yammering and yammering. I guess you couldn't hear me.
You're fine.
Well, I'm new. We're new.
Welcome.
Um, Hi. She just completed her, I guess assessment stuff today.
Uh-huh.
And I was looking through her schedule, and it looks like there's a big gap after homeroom. Like I don't know if maybe I missed something, but it skipped first period, went straight into second period around 10 in the morning. Was it supposed to do that?
Second period starts at 9:20. So it depends on your teacher and when her planning time may be, but if you just finished your testing today, then I would think your schedule is probably not set yet, completely set. So that may be why you see those gaps.
Okay. Is
So
homeroom considered first period?
no, homeroom is it's separate on the schedule. So homeroom's at 8 to 8:20 and then first period starts at 8:25. So all of that will be separated out on your schedule, and so you will have 5 content classes a day, and then on the day you have your electives, that would be a 6th class on that one day. So if you are showing a lot of gaps, then that probably just means your schedule's not set yet, because you just finished your testing today.
Oh, okay. So she's gonna have 5 regular classes and
Mhm.
2 electives.
Right, the electives will just be 1 day a week though, so they don't meet every day.
What like how long does this last? Like what time is her last class, I guess?
So, that will depend on your elective schedule and when you get that because they're at different times. Sixth period ends at 2:35, and that's the last time that she would have one of the content classes. If her elective happens to fall during seventh period, then that would be her last class, and that's 2:45 to 3:30. So it kind of just depends on where that elective class falls.
So as the coach, I'm gonna be going in and just switching her from one, I guess, class over to the next when it's time to switch her over,
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
pretty much.
You'll see in her jigsaw session, it has the period labeled with each class, and she'll just log into the correct period.
Okay, I know that's probably a silly
No,
question, but
no, it's not. It's there are no silly questions. This is a whole different ball game. I remember when I
yes.
first got here, I had a ton of questions. So no, that's not silly.
Another parent mentioned something about a supply list, and I never even saw that. Like, where is the supply
I think
list?
it's on the website somewhere, and I would have to look through the pages to find it. But um, what you could do is just when you get your homeroom teacher and assigned and all of that, you can just ask them specifically what are some supplies they need. And like I said, most of what we use is all online. It's all digital resources, but I do know I, as a teacher, use journals and pencils a lot. So that may be something that you need, but I would talk to your specific teacher.
Okay. I mean, she's got tons of pencils and
Yeah.
pens and crayons and paper
Yeah,
and
that's what
glue.
we use journals. I know I use journals a lot every day in my classes. Um, so you could just talk to them and they can let you know anything specific that they would like you to get.
Okay, cool, cool.
And you will get manipulative kits for math and ELA. I think they're hoping to get the start sending those out soon. So you'll get some things through that as well.
Excellent. Nope. Oh, okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that was it for me, but you know,
Well, thank you so much. We are glad that you're here.
thank you.
All right. Let's see. Sari.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just making sure. So I've been actually with GCA for 8 years,
Hi.
so we've
So
been
you
through
are
a
a
lot of
pro.
new changes.
Right.
You guys are doing awesome, just so you know. I know it's hard. So, but here, okay, so I'm running into a little bit of an issue.
Okay.
So my daughter, she did get tested for the gifting in kindergarten at the end of
Mhm.
kindergarten. And I was under the impression that she was supposed to be put into advanced classes this year.
Okay.
She hasn't been, which okay, that's not I'm not like, "Oh, no, she needs to be there." But she's bored.
Mhm.
So a lot of the content that we're going over, and I know it's the beginning of the school year, um, she kind of already knows most of it.
Mhm.
And I'm having a hard time getting her to engage. So she's doing the work, but then they kind of go over it in class again, which I'm completely fine with. That's what they're supposed to do because not everybody knows and they need to make sure.
Mhm.
But at that point, she's checked out because
Uh-huh.
she's like, I've already done it. I already know the answers. So why do I have to sit here and keep doing this? Um, I'm not really sure what to do about that. Like, should I talk to somebody about why she wasn't put into the advanced classes? Because that's kind of, and I wasn't say she is getting put into advanced classes, but that was what it kind of sounded like she was supposed to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
So teachers, as we, as they get to know their students more, will have more opportunities for differentiation in class. They'll be meeting, we'll be starting different small group sessions throughout the week for different contents to kind of address those specialized needs with students. So remediate where needed, accelerate where needed, things like that. And kind of go from there. So I know teachers are working hard to kind of learn their students, know their strengths, know their weaknesses, figure out exactly what they need. So there will be more of that as the year progresses. As far as her class that she's in for this year, you could send me an email with her name and ID and I can look into it. I don't know. I was not aware that they had already planned advanced classes at the end of last year for this year. So I don't know that they had those students specifically set aside as who was going in advanced classes. I know they looked at the data from this year, from last year, map scores, all of that. So if you want to send me, my name's Amanda Mills. So it'll be A Mills, at Georgia Cyber. If you want to send me her name and ID number, I can look into that for you though, and see if I can find a little bit more information on that.
okay. And then I do have one more question.
Okay.
So with the new schedule,
Hmm.
um, and again, like I said, I know we're kind of at the beginning of the year. Um, there's not a lot of work time
Right.
because it's one class after another, after another, after another.
Mhm.
So even with the daily work, I know the daily work is not necessarily required,
Mhm.
but for instance, like the ELA stuff, in order to go and take the quizzes for ELA, you have had to have gone through the lessons, especially to read the stories, because some of the questions refer back to the stories.
Uh-huh.
So if you technically didn't do that, then you wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Mhm.
So how do I'm trying to figure out how to work in that work time with her, especially if it is stuff that I know that she quite hasn't grasped and could use a little bit of extra time.
Right. So hopefully you're getting some time in your classes to kind of begin that work. We do realize that the schedule this year is a little bit more packed than it has been previously, so they do not have as much outside of class time to work. And those ELA modules, I'm sure that's what you're referring to. They are quite lengthy, and I do know what you're saying about the quizzes going along with the story in there. And I can talk to our ELA administrator about that and see if we can make sure that we somehow note she could somehow note, hey, this, the passage for this quiz is on page slide 6 in the lesson or something like that. So you could know specifically where the story is. You can find that quickly instead of having to go through every single slide to try to find it. So I do understand that, and that's definitely something that we can look into and talk about further. I think ELA is the main one. It seems to be a little bit longer and would be one that you may not want to do all the parts, but you definitely need to see that story. So I will get with her and we will brainstorm about that and see how we can kind of figure out how to tag those pages so you know the important ones.
Okay. Yeah, that would
Make
be
myself a note of
very
that.
helpful,
Yep.
especially with and then because I do know, like I said, yeah, with the ELA, I think it's especially the ELA, the math
Right.
and the rest of them, they are very short and
Right.
they're easier to kind of go through. Um, I guess for me, I guess because it's so different from last year where we had that like almost 45 minutes in between each class to kind of
Right.
go back through and make sure that she understood what was going on.
Mhm.
And then because this year we don't have that, and I know that she's checking out in the middle of class because she's already thinking she knows the material.
Mhm.
It's making it harder for me to make sure that she's actually getting what she's supposed to get. So I'm worried that she's going to be missing things because I don't actually have that concrete work time with her.
Right. Yep, I understand. Yep. So I'll definitely look into that because I know those ELA modules are a little bit longer and have more stuff that you may want to definitely pick and choose parts out of it. So I will take that to our ELA administrator and we will kind of try to brainstorm a plan for that going forward.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, and then I just email
Yeah,
you.
you can email me your
You
student's
want me to?
name, name and ID number, and I'll kind of
Okay,
look into that and see what I can figure out.
okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Skyla.
Hi, I am Skylar's learning coach.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and I really appreciate all the information you all are giving. I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
about maybe one or two questions.
Okay.
Okay, as far as the apps, all those apps, are they
Mhm.
on the first grade level or are they above the first grade level? If so, how far above?
Yeah, any app that your student's using in class is going to be based on either two things. It's either an app with specific lessons that the teacher assigns. So if that's the case, then it would definitely be first grade standard, like on first grade level. And then some of our apps, they give them like a diagnostic screener the first time they log in or something like that, and then it builds them a learning path based on their needs. So they could be working on work that is prior to first grade. If they're struggling a little bit on certain standards, they could be working on work that is above first grade if they need some acceleration there. So there are times when they may not be working specifically on first grade work, but then anything that your teacher specifically assigns to you in these apps is going to go along with the Georgia standards, unless they are specifically giving you things for remediation or acceleration. But any of those teacher assignments would be grade level assignments.
Okay, last year, Skyla, um, in the kindergarten class,
Uh huh.
the first semester, she was in a regular kindergarten class.
Uh huh.
And then on that second semester, they put her up to an advanced kindergarten. And we don't see any of those kids in the class that she's in now. And we were just wondering, you know, we were just wondering, are those kids on another level or something that she was in the classroom last year?
Not necessarily. We've grown and have so many teachers that we have several advanced class. Last year, there was one advanced class in kindergarten. There was one advanced class in first grade. But this year we've grown so much that there are several advanced classes in each grade level. So it could just be that those students were placed elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're on a different level than she is or anything
Well,
like
they were pretty smart, like, so I was just wondering,
that. Mhm.
And now we're very satisfied. The teacher she has now is a very good teacher, so we're not complaining, against her. I think
Mhm.
she's real good, and she's giving, the class what they need. These are, first graders.
Right.
But what if you have a student that reads like on the third or fourth grade level that's in the first grade?
Right. And yeah, so that's what the teachers will be as they're getting to know their students and as we start our small groups and start that differentiated instruction, being able to do that more in class, they will be able to reach those students on their level. So they'll accelerate those students that need that acceleration, and give a little bit more support in the other areas when they may need more remediation. So that's something that your teacher can differentiate, through small groups. So when those small groups start, you'll see her getting work on her level, that may not necessarily be the same level that the whole class is on or that the majority is on or anything like that.
Okay, alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, Courtney. Hey, Courtney, are you still there? Do you still have a question? Courtney C. All right, we're going to move on to the next one, but if you do have a question, you can just raise your hand again, all right? Let's see, Tasha.
I was wondering about, again, my students are bored with the curriculum. My first grader finished the second grade math curriculum last year, so math particularly is dull. Is there differentiation within the curriculum? Could he take a higher level math class or skip a grade
So
or
anything like that, they have to be in the gifted program, and then they would have to qualify through specific testing to do anything above grade level. So, is your child in the gifted program currently?
no, we're new students, so he hasn't had the opportunity to test for that, but I guess
Yeah, that's fine. I
he
just didn't know if previously he may have already tested in. So what we
no,
can do is
it's
when
not
it's
offered.
okay. Yeah, so when that window opens up, if you we will that you'll get information sent out. They'll send it out to parents and teachers at the same time. I think it's opening in the fall and then they'll test around January. So when you get that information, we can refer your child, and then they have to be in the gifted program before they will be considered for anything above grade level. And then they would have
Okay.
further testing after that.
So when would that gifted start for them? Like, would he have to just endure the rest of the first grade below level?
Right. Yeah. But I don't, but like I said, the teacher will also be differentiating for her students. So, um, so it's not all going to be below level. It is great if they already know the concepts and things like that. And then that's when the teacher can come in through small groups and accelerate.
Okay. I mean, even my third grader is in the gifted program, and he knows most of the material as well. I was looking forward to things being taught more at the individual level.
Right. Well, we are still a Georgia public school, so we have to follow the state standards, the state guidelines, the state testing, things like that. So, so we do still have those state standards that we have to follow the curriculum for each grade level.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi,
Hello.
good evening.
Hi.
You okay? Okay. We'll get straight to it. You mentioned kits. Are those coming in the mail? When do we expect them?
Yeah, they'll come in the mail. I think they're getting ready to send those out within this next month. So, um, sorry, I have an echo. I don't know when exactly they will be there, but they should be coming within the next month, I think is when they're starting.
Okay, and for the interim assessments that are starting on the first one, 13th of September through 17th, for a student who is just entering school on the 30th of August, what would that testing look like for that student?
It will not be required for those students. It's not going to be required for any student that started after this past Monday, the 23rd.
Okay, so that still remains that they'll have their catch up, makeup able to be done before the first semester for the 20 days that they missed out on schooling?
Right. So there will be checkpoint modules in each of your classes. And what that does, it just kind of gives a snapshot of the standards that have already been covered and some practice for those standards. And that module will be available all semester. So, when you have time, if you want to go, you'll work on this week's modules first, but then when you have time, you can go back and work through some of those other activities to see kind of the content that was covered previously.
Okay, and my last question was concerning the midterm to the final interim assessments. You mentioned the entire test be read independently by student. Will there be like a mic? I mean, not a mic, but like a speaker they can click on to have it read to them, or is it just solely them reading it?
Yeah, no, ma'am. That's what. So the speaker reading to them will only be on test one and part of IA2. Everything after that, the student has to read completely on their own.
Okay, and as far as the the level of the teacher will help them progress to that capability of reading such sentences when it comes to.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, they'll be working on that in class, and then the test will also be, on a first grade level. So the questions and things that they will see should be on a first grade level.
Okay, wonderful. That's all I had. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see. Sorry, my screen went crazy. Is it Reshma? Hope I said that right.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm a GCA family, so my older kids has a flexibility level.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondering, do you allow the flexibility level for the first graders also?
We do. And those were set. We looked at data. The thing with first grade, it's hard. These younger kids.
Yeah.
One, they don't have as much data, so there's not enough to look at, a lot to look at when we're trying to determine that. And we also want to always err on the side when they're this young, you know,
Yeah.
to be in school to get that instruction. But we will be looking at flexibility levels again mid-year. So by
Mm-hmm.
that time, we'll have two, possibly three, depending on when they when in December we decide to look at those again. But we'll have 2 or 3 interim assessment grades by that point,
Mhm.
along with the map test that you guys took at the beginning of this year. So there will be more data there to look
Uh-huh.
at, and that's definitely a possibility for the second semester.
Oh, thank you. Because I was wondering that they take the last for all my kids, they take the map testing and first interim assessment,
Uh-huh.
and based on those two data, they provide the flexibility. I was wondering whether it is going to be the same with this kid, and also she's starting late, so she might miss the first interim assessment.
Right. Yep. No, we're not going to look again till mid-year. So even if she misses the first one, because of that late start, she would have the other two. So,
Mm-hmm.
so we'd have that data to look at.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hello, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is Amanda's coach.
Okay.
I have a question about her classes. So she started out in a regular first grade classroom, and now we're in assistive technologies. So on her nucleus, it says that she's missing a few classes. I'm saying 14. But on in the what's the app called? In the Infinite Campus, it doesn't have her marked as absent in any of her classes. So since they switched her from going into one classroom to the other, will that affect her throughout the year with those missing days and assignments and classes?
No, ma'am. If you've had a schedule change and you're no longer in these classes that it's showing absent in, you can reach out to your attendance specialist and they can get that corrected. And then we don't take any attendance in Infinite Campus, so it's not going to show any attendance records in there. It's only through Nucleus. But like I said, if you've had a schedule change but you're still showing absences from the class that you're no longer in, then that's something you can reach out to your attendance specialist, and they can help you with that.
Absolutely. And since we're in assistive technologies, if she tests out of one of those classes, will we get an email explaining to us that she's going to move from one class to the other, or will she just remain where she is because of the assistance that she needs?
Right, and that is a good question that I do not know the answer to. I don't know how often they kind of look at that and what their policy is as far as class changes and going in and out. So that would probably be a question that would be better served for her teacher. They would have in that specific class, she'd have more information about that. I'm not sure exactly how they do that.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Markeisha? Oh, you still, oh, there you are.
Yes, ma'am. I just had a quick question. So my
Okay.
kids got their computer today, but I know they're supposed to take a placement test. When will I get the link for that? Or is there something that I need to do to get the link for it?
No, it should be coming to your email,
Okay.
probably that you put in for registration. That's what I would think. Have you guys been given an FEL, family engagement liaison, or anything like that yet?
No, the last email that I got, yeah, your family engagement liaison. That was the last email I got to set
Okay.
it up. Do I need
Yeah.
to do that first?
Yep. I would do that. That will connect you with a family engagement liaison. So we call them FELs, and they'll kind of follow and partner through to help you with some of those things. But they're the ones that will that can help you make sure you're getting into the test and getting all of that completed.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's see. Tawanda?
Um, I've been with GCA now for 6 years, and
Uh-huh.